April 13th. April 13th?
April 13th.
Is 6 weeks from now.
Okay.
Yes, indeed. Another creativity ambush. This time, my brother Connor has 6 weeks and this camcorder to
Make something interesting. Here we are, 6 weeks later. Your project is nearly done. It's done for you, it's not done for me. I'm here to collect the footage. Cool.
So I wrote a poem.
You wrote a poem?
I wrote a poem.
Wow.
It was...
Quiva didn't write hers, so you're trying to win some points there.
I had it in mind. I think you would put up on your Instagram story a while ago about, you mentioned poetry and how to do something with that, or is
Yeah,
it an
no,
interesting way to
I'd
do
said
it?
that the way we currently communicate poetry is like annoying me.
The black text on the white
It's
background.
black text
on
and a white,
Instagram.
Instagram story
Yeah.
poetry.
Because I used to be really sort of like, poetry's a lot of waffly nonsense. That it's not proper writing. It's just, you know,
especially if they don't rhyme. And it's
it's an in between songwriting and novel writing where it's just airy fairy nonsense. But then I kind of came around to it, and I've been reading more poetry.
Yeah, I started wearing polo necks and performing in cafes and stuff.
And I'm actually reading collections of poetry as opposed to. So like at the moment,
So you have like a book that's
so
collected poems of this person.
At the moment, I'm reading an Emily Dickinson one, and I've got a couple more sitting there, like Edgar Allan Poe. And so I've come around to poetry a bit more. So then I wrote a little poem. So then I feel that the video will probably be constrained by the length of the poem.
So you filmed yourself reading it, or is there audio, or am I going to have to come in and with my own voiceover?
Oh no, I filmed myself reading it, but you could always if it doesn't quite sound as cinematic. It'll be a kind of montage of clips with this poem. With the clips, like sort of specifically representing the lines in the poem, or is it a more kind of... Not specifically like it's about the idea that everyone feels that everything that happened before in the past, you know, when you hear about the Victorians with cavemen or any of that kind of stuff, that like that was all the stuff that had to happen so that now could exist, and now we've got to now, that's it. And it's like really hard to like wrap your head around the fact that like there's going to be more without you one day. So it's that idea that
like everything that happened before is built up to now, and now is like, this is the world, like it's like that was all building the world, and now the world's done and we're living in it. But
it's not like that at all. It's, you know,
it's gonna keep changing.
You're no more permanent than the people who lived 500 years ago.
And the camcorder itself, did you find using, because this is a strange sight on the streets in 2023. It's not inconspicuous.
Yeah, and it's so strange because like we live in a time where everybody has a camera, and if you take out your phone and, you know, to take a Snapchat or something, nobody blinks an eyelid. But the minute you take out that thing, it's like...
Because everyone's constantly holding their phones anyway, so what's the difference between doing that or that? But this is like intrusive.
Yeah, definitely.
Because these objects don't exist in our day-to-day life anymore, really.
And that little bloody noise it makes when it turns on, that's the worst thing about it. Did it? And it's like, what the fuck?
Hang on. And you can't turn it off.
And actually, it's also like, in comparison to phones, it's so much slower. I mean, if you've got it in the case, unzip, take it out, as opposed to with a phone, it's like swipe, and you're filming,
and you're in 4K, and it looks great.
Yeah. So I found that like it hindered me in terms of actually the kind of stuff I would have liked to have like filmed. I was very self-conscious of people around me being like, why would he want to film this with a camcorder? Or when I was out and about with either of my kids, if you were taking a photo of a kid, of your own child on your own phone, people wouldn't think anything of it. But there's something a bit weird about having a camera. Why is this guy in a playground with a camcorder?
I don't think it's even that like there's something weird or nefarious about a camcorder, but it's different and it's out of place. Alarm bells start going off. People go, "That's different. What's going on here?" This is.
Why is he not using his phone?
It makes people become hyper aware that you're like capturing something. Whereas the phone is just... So I will take this footage. I will edit it together into the award-winning movie it will undoubtedly be, and we will meet back, and I'll show you what you've made.
I can't wait.
What we've made.
What we've made. It's a collaborative experience. Mm-hmm. I'm very excited.
Here we are, back again. I have finished your video. I ended up using every bit of footage, I think, pretty much. It came to about a minute and a bit long.
Was it all gold? You couldn't bear to leave any of it on the cutting room floor?
That's something like that. I did end up re-recording the poem in the end, just because of the quality of the audio on the camcorder. It was just necessary. But it's all your footage. It's all of your footage. And it's your poem. Are you excited to see it?
I'm very excited. Was it difficult to transcribe the poem? Like, did you have to listen to it over and over? Like,
no, I think it was pretty clear. I hope I got the sort of cadence and the emphasis right. You're not going to listen to it and go, well, that doesn't read how I imagined it.
Or there'll be a word in it that's completely wrong. It'll change the whole meaning of it.
Yeah. Or make it infinitely better.
Oh my gosh, and I'll have to pretend that was always how I intended it.
Mm-hmm. Will we have a look?
I would love to.
Are we all but footnotes in history, thinking every day has led to us, and those who came before died and did so for today? With the now reached, time can cease its journey on. But now, as we look down across eternity, the unreachable horizon, tomorrow is not for us. So by God, hold on to today.
Sort of video they'd play if I died.
Still time. If we want to guarantee some views on this video. This creative project literally killed my brother. So there you are. Is that the sort of thing you had in mind?
I was expecting, and I really prefer the way you did it. Originally I was imagining just the poem with like the images over it at the same time, but I much prefer the way that you did it.
I was really glad that with that line, that all those who come before died or
something like that.
Something like that you got that shot. Did you knew what you were doing when you got that?
I did have that in mind, yeah. At the beginning, just for like a split second, because obviously I had originally recorded the poem in my voice, and then to hear it with your voice was like quite strange at first. And because it was like a shot of my fridge, for a second it was like you were behind the camera in my kitchen, moving the camera along, and then it quickly like sort of changed, and I adapted to it. But that was just quite surprising at first, because I've heard myself read that
there
poem.
are probably not an insignificant number of people who wouldn't realise that it was me and not you doing it.
I also, I like the music choice as well. Originally I had suggested something else, and was there any reason?
It's not like a finished song, but it was like a part of a thing I had recorded. I was like, this bit's nice. I'll stick that in the end.
Having edited it, what was the most difficult part about putting it all together?
Since I ended up using all of the footage, that speaks to one of the biggest difficulties, which is you always would like more footage than you have, but that's sort of inevitable when you've got zero communication between the person shooting it and the person editing it.
Yeah, because obviously like, when I shot it, I had it in mind that it was only going to be the length of the poem, and then your creative vision was different to
I pushed to have this whole other section at the end.
But it really works.
We had just enough between us to assemble something vaguely cohesive. I was really going for it with the I'm reading a poem in a film.
How difficult was it to actually record yourself reading it?
Well, these sort of things always take a few takes. Yeah. Like quite a few takes. But that might just be me. I don't know.
Like I remember when I was trying to read it, I would get pretty much the whole way through, and I'd get to like the second last word, and it would be like, ah! And you'd be like, and you'd have to go through the whole bloody thing again. So this is the second one of these that you've done?
It is indeed.
How different was this experience to the one that you did with Quiva?
Quiva's one was based on a fable. Yours is based on a poem. So they have that kind of thing going for them. And with Quiva's initially, I had recorded a voiceover for it.
Oh, wow.
With a sort of slightly cut down version of that fable. But it just didn't work.
Okay, it didn't.
And it felt kind of like I was intruding too much on it.
Okay.
Whereas for some reason with this one, it didn't feel like that. Maybe because I'm in it a little bit.
Yes, yes.
Quiva's was much more personal to just her.
Okay.
Whereas yours was more sort of all the people around you too. So that's kind of how it differed. Yeah. So overall, you're happy with how it turned out? You'd say it was a success?
Yeah, I enjoyed the experience. I wish that I had been less self-conscious with the camera. You feel like an American tourist or something when you've got this camcorder out in 2023. Yeah. I enjoyed it, and I'm glad I chose what I did.
Yeah, you did something that I feel was your voice, and that if I'd given it to other people, they wouldn't have done something like that.
Which I feel is the point of the project.
Yeah, it's kind of about finding someone that I know has something interesting to say or an interesting perspective. They just need to be sort of forced into doing it.
I can't wait to see who you're going to choose next.
It could be you. It won't be. Well, thank you very much, Mr. Director. Maybe I'll get you again with something else in the future. I'm going to show up on your door with like a typewriter and say, write me a novel, bitch.
Next great American novel. I want to watch it again.